Fight fans, this is JD of Bvtvnews, and I'm back to give y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. With that being said, man, let's talk about Mr. Saul Canelo Alvarez going up against, Jaime Munguia. Now, it appears like we have finally moved past the whole I won't fight any Mexicans debacle that Canelo Alvarez found himself in, about a few months back. He sent the boxing world into a tizzy, based off of some comments that he had made saying that he wouldn't face off against a fellow Mexican. And a lot of y'all remember him kind of getting a bit heated with the media, and having these words to say regarding that.
Guys, always I say this, you share that video and put whatever you want. When I say I don't want to fight Mexican, is because I represent Mexico. And that's why. But I don't care. I fight anybody. And I fight all my entire life, anybody.
So now it appears like we are at a point where, Canelo Alvarez is going to end up facing off against Jaime Munguia this year, 2024, Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 4th. We're going to get these two clashing in the ring. Now, it's not the fight that the boxing public truly wants, but I suspect it'll still be a great bout. Now, of course, everybody had been clamoring for it to be David Benavidez. That never did come to fruition. There was a lot of drama going back and forth, whether, he really left PBC or was he still with PBC? A lot of people suspected that he had left and went over to potentially Matchroom to sign a deal for Jaime and Edgar Berlanga. But then it looks like Al Heyman must have worked his magic. He must have worked that Al Heyman magic behind the scenes. And he lured Canelo Alvarez back in to be a very central figure in this Amazon Prime deal that they are rolling out, because this will occur on Amazon. So this will be a massive pay-per-view bout for PBC to be able to roll out in their newest deal since they ended everything with Showtime. Now, another person who is a part of this is, Mr. Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Oscar, he went to social media to kind of express his happiness and his gratitude for this bout being made.
Fourth, it finally got done. I've been asking for this forever. A Mexican showdown. Canelo versus Munguia. First of all, thank you, Amazon, PBC, Golden Boy family, Zanfer Promotions, Canelo Munguia. Thank you.
Now, interestingly enough, this is, kind of a reunification of sorts for, Canelo Alvarez and his team, and working with, Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya. If y'all remember back in 2018, Canelo Alvarez signed what would have been one of the most lucrative boxing deals of all time, where it was an 11-year, $365 million deal for him to face off exclusively on DAZN against a number of opponents. Now, as you all remember, that deal went sour because naturally, DAZN approached Canelo Alvarez, was wanting him to face off against certain fighters. And, Canelo Alvarez has always been one that wants to pick and choose his opponents, which, that's what he tried to do. So he sued on and Golden Boy and was able to get out of that massive 11 fight, $365 million deal. So fast forward to now in 2024, you now have Canelo Alvarez and his team working with Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya yet again, at least for this one bout with Jaime Munguia versus Canelo Alvarez. Now, with Jaime Munguia, I'm going to be honest, man, I personally believe there's no time like the present right now for Jaime Munguia. They whispered about Jaime Munguia potentially facing off against Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, and some of those higher level fighters, but this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And at those particular points, I don't believe Jaime was really ready to get into the ring back then with Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, and some of those top tier middleweights. But now, I would say that at 27 years of age, man, and the different wars and things that he's seen in the ring, I feel like Jaime Munguia, this is the best time for him to get in the ring with Canelo Alvarez and push him as much as possible. Now, he will be going up, at 168, to face off against Canelo Alvarez. At this point, he is making everybody face him at 168 pounds. He's not going back down to 160. It's still debatable whether he'll go up again to 175. So Jaime Munguia, is willing to face off against him and take his best stab at it. Now, for Jaime Munguia, this will end up being the second bout that he will do under Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach. Now, for years prior to him joining with Freddie Roach, he was being trained by Hall of Famer Eric Morales. But according to reports, they ended up splitting ways. And part of the reason that they feel like there was a split is that Eric Morales was potentially trying to pursue becoming the mayor of Tijuana, Mexico. And so it appears like there was differences in expectation between Jaime Munguia and Eric Morales as far as being able to really get enough training time in, and both of them really being locked in as trainer and fighter. So that caused Jaime Munguia, before the John Ryder fight, to go up north to Cali, into Hollywood, into the legendary Wild Card Gymnasium, where he is now trained by Freddie Roach, who most notably was the long-term trainer of Mr. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. So we have the second fight, of these two having that marriage of trainer and fighter as they go into the ring with, a Canelo Alvarez, who that he has never wavered, never moved away from Eddie Reynoso, who is his manager and trainer. So we are going to get this bout on May 4th. Again, I feel like Jaime Munguia is going to be able to push, Canelo Alvarez, as much as possible. We know at this point in Canelo's career, he is not a fighter who genuinely wants to go back and forth with fighters at a high, rapid pace. So we'll see if Jaime Munguia can use some of that youthful energy to kind of push the pace against Canelo and force him into a lot of exchanges. I personally, if I'm Jaime Munguia, I would go rewatch the Gennady Golovkin 1 and Gennady Golovkin fight number 2 with Canelo Alvarez. And I would use the tactics that Triple G used, and I would try to duplicate that against Canelo Alvarez in this bout and try to push him. Because Canelo Alvarez is not a fighter at this point that really wants to stand and go back and forth with a fighter. So if you can take Canelo Alvarez's punch and continue to keep throwing punches, that can really, really put a lot of pressure on Canelo Alvarez. And in the latter rounds, that can really, really pay dividends for Jaime Munguia, because sometimes we have seen Canelo Alvarez in high-paced fights sort of get a little winded towards the end. But, that's going to be the best shot for, a Jaime Munguia. For Canelo Alvarez to take this fight, absolutely they see some kind of flaw in Jaime Munguia that they feel like they can expose. They definitely see something that they feel they can expose in Jaime Munguia. So, they're always being very strategic when it comes to Eddie Reynoso and as well as Canelo Alvarez. A huge part of this as well is I feel like they see a flaw in Jaime Munguia that they can exploit. But I also know that this is the fight that they know can get them the maximum purse. Like, we know off the rip that for this Jaime Munguia bout, that that Canelo Alvarez is being guaranteed in upwards of over $30 million for this bout. So when you start to look at, the options for Edgar Berlanga or the options for Jermall Charlo, which are two fights that are probably even easier than a Jaime Munguia, the money just wasn't there for an Edgar Berlanga fight right now, or you're not going to get that bag against Jermall Charlo. So it started to become, more of a strategy play where I think they feel like they can defeat Jaime Munguia, and Jaime Munguia also presents the biggest opportunity at money in the ring. Because at the end of the day, man, this is prize fighting with Canelo Alvarez. It's still up in the air. Just how many, more years we're going to get with Canelo Alvarez in the ring. Although, he's only 33 years of age. So it still is one of those things where he's operating like a fighter who is potentially on the way out. But y'all let me know, who y'all got in this Jaime Munguia versus Canelo Alvarez bout. Is Jaime Munguia going to really be able to push him to the max and really get some kind of decision? Or do you think Canelo Alvarez is still the man and will be able to defeat Jaime Munguia? But y'all know I'm going to keep giving y'all the latest and greatest news in the sport of boxing. Until next time, man, y'all, please remember to like, share, and subscribe.